Beautiful Anonymous is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You chose to hit play on this podcast today. Smart choice. Make another smart choice with Auto Quote Explorer to compare rates from multiple car insurance companies all at once. Try it at progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
When it comes to Mother's Day, at Ritual, we believe in giving her flowers. But are flowers what she actually wants? We asked around, and flowers are fine, but most women would prefer science-backed gut support that never wilts. While we're at it, throw in Stress Relief, our chill pill designed with clinically studied forms of ingredients to reduce daily stress. Did we mention that all of our supplements are clean, vegan, and third-party tested for heavy metals and microbes? Because if you ask us, the thought counts, but traceable science and sourcing count more. Find your Ritual. Get what you really want this year, whether you're a mom or not, with 40% off your first month at ritual.com/podcast. That's RITUAL.com/podcast for 40% off your first month. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Hey everybody, it's Chris. It's May. It's Mental Health Awareness Month. I wanted to let you know we're doing something cool with the show throughout May. Basically, I've been working with my friends at Wellness Together, the nonprofit organization. I've been interviewing people for the past few months. They're all people who are having very interesting, unique conversations about mental health. And they're all people who are doing their part. And conversations about my mental health and your mental health have been a big part of Beautiful Anonymous. So throughout the month, we're going to be airing some of the 5-minute versions of these conversations. I really hope you enjoy them. There's other podcasts all over the place that have agreed to help us distribute these conversations too. Trying to get everybody to go to wellnesstogether.org/allhandsondeck to look at some organizations, some people, places that are providing resources, places doing their part. Anyway, I'll stop rambling. Enjoy this. We're going to do these on every episode in May. I'm super excited to hear what you think about them. Thanks so much. I'm Chris Gethard, and I help run a nonprofit called Laughing Together that sends comedians into schools to help strengthen mental health skills. Because these days, mental health is an all-hands-on-deck conversation, and there are so many unique conversations happening on the topic. For example, today, I'm talking to Ethan Sachs, whose daughter Naomi was hospitalized for mental health reasons in high school. Decades ago, that might be something kept quiet. These days, Ethan and Naomi teamed up to write a comic book inspired by the experience. We talk about using creativity to help navigate hard conversations, how to responsibly make art that aims to connect with at-risk kids, and how comic books are a medium uniquely positioned to make strong statements on mental health. One of the first things I think about when I look at the graphic novel is that I am someone who, when I was in my teenage years, hid what I was going through. And then I made it all the way through college, hiding what I was going through. And when I finally told my parents, I remember it being a very scary proposition, a lot of anxiety, some shame related to that. Turned out a lot of that was just living deeply in my head, and my parents were ready to help. But I look at you as a parent making a graphic novel alongside your daughter, who was in the position I identify with in that relationship. It must have been so scary and so painful, but also, if the existence of this graphic novel does not represent a massive change in how we talk about these things, I don't know what does.
Yeah. So, I mean, originally my daughter, I had started the basic idea behind this while she was hospitalized at Bellevue, the very first hospitalization, and started as just a line jotted down in a notebook. It took so long to get from that line to the point where we had a publishing deal, like literally 4 years. It was when we were close to another publisher right before the pandemic, and that scuttled that. Because it took so long to get made, and a lot of publishers were very uncomfortable dealing with the subject of suicide, even though this is a suicide prevention book. By then, she was in a better place, and I was thinking, like, maybe this would be good for her, and also there would be this authenticity that I couldn't provide. We've had the experience of going to conventions and going to signings where someone will come up and say, "Thank you for telling this story. This was me. I went through a very similar experience, minus the demons and the supernatural element, but the hospitalization, the struggle to reintegrate back in school.
I wanted to ask you about conventions in particular because I grew up a comic book kid. I've been reading comics since I was 7 years old. It's when I found my first ones on a spinner rack. From the outside, I think it's very easy to say, oh, conventions, that's where you have these crazy cosplayers and people spending too much money on vintage books. And it's easy to sort of roll your eyes at a convention if you're someone who hasn't been to one. But I've read a lot about how we're in an age where comics can be consumed digitally. So conventions and even physical comic book stores are becoming more and more community gathering spaces. And I have to imagine, as you said, when people come up, mention that they identify with what's going on in your book, it must be a real reflection of, oh, making a comic book that speaks to issues that the readers might read and meeting them in the physical locations where they're going to hang out does represent an idea of community surrounding this entire medium that dates back at least to the 1960s as far as fan culture.
For the most part, my experience, having done a number of conventions, having, been to stores across the country, is, it's basically a wide variety of ethnicities, of genders, of gender identities, of sexualities, religions, united in a common love. And it's not all superheroes, of course, but there is a morality that is sort of baked in, this sort of do-gooder mentality that's baked into the heroes that we all love. And so I think it brings out this positive energy, like when you go to a comic convention. I just came back from a convention in Raleigh, Virginia, and that's a pretty red state, but not to out my lefty political views, but like you would see a large number of trans kids, and it's a safe space for that 3 days. They can feel completely comfortable, and that's great. I wish there was more places like that out in the wider world. It's great to see, and it reinvigorates me when I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed by the macro.
Thanks so much, Ethan. A Haunted Girl is a wonderful comic. It's available now. I recommend supporting a local brick and mortar comic book store when you buy it, but that's just me. If you want to hear this conversation in its entirety, plus more from people approaching mental health conversations in unique and innovative ways, visit wellnesstogether.org/allhandsondeck. Hello to everybody who remembers the Dynamite Kid. It's Beautiful Anonymous. 1 hour, one phone call. No names, no holds barred.
I'd rather go one-on-one. I think it'll be more fun, and I'll get to know you, and you'll get to know me.
Hi, everybody. Chris Gethard here. Welcome to another episode of Beautiful Anonymous. If you are not a fan of a long intro, you're going to want to skip ahead about 10 minutes. And thanks so much. Hi, everybody. Chris Gethard here. Welcome to another episode of Beautiful Anonymous, the show where we look at the human condition one anonymous phone call at a time. It's so good to be here. I feel so lucky. I'll tell you, as I'm recording this, my desk is covered in envelopes and copies of this magazine. We have a handful left to get out the door. There's been so much work put into it. I put on the Facebook group, the decision to hand write and stamp each envelope was charming and probably one of the most time-wasting, frustrating ideas I've ever had. But that being said, it's also been so beautiful. It's an actual reminder where I get to put in a little bit of legwork and get to put in a little bit of personal hustle. But every time I do, I realize this is connecting me with an actual individual human being who is out there in the world. It feels so cool. I want to thank the people at my local post office who taught me how I don't need to bring every individual envelope to them. They helped me break down the postage and helped me order the stamps so that I could get the right amount of postage on there and make all of our lives easier. That being said, when I got to the international orders, the ones that went beyond Canada, I realized they said, oh, you can just use your stamps on those. It has to add up to $8.41 worth of stamps. And I realized I had 73-cent stamps and 40-cent stamps. So if I put 11 73-cent stamps and one 40-cent stamp, that got us over the finish line with room to spare. So there are envelopes right now on their way to places like Norway and Japan that look so hilariously crazy. I started sending pictures to Andrea, being like, look what I'm putting in the mail. Look what this thing looks like. The stamps I picked, I tried to pick stamps that I thought Beautiful Anonymous fans would like. One is the art of skateboarding. One is women's soccer, U.S. women's soccer team. One was Ruth Bader Ginsburg. When it came to having to put 11 stamps on the same envelope, I said, we'll just go with one. Like, if you are in the States, you got one. If you got your envelope, unless I took it to the post office that day, if I hand stamped it, has one skateboarding stamp, one women's soccer, one Ruth Bader Ginsburg, one Fox. And that got us up to the postage finish line. So 4 stamps. A little excessive, but also 4 stamps that it was lovely. People on the Facebook group started to point out, feels like you picked these stamps to feel like what a Beautiful Anonymous collection of stamps should be. I said, good, I'm glad you noticed that. That's cool. Moment of connection. There are literally envelopes that I personally sent right now that are going to Switzerland that have 11 Ruth Bader Ginsburgs and 1 Fox. That's crazy. That's a crazy envelope to put in the mail. 11. And Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Supreme Court Justice, watched the doc on her, did a lot of legitimately heroic stuff in her quiet way. Her stamp is just an older woman scowling at the camera. Like, it's not like she's got flesh and a big pearly white smile. It's a very official Supreme Court Justice portrait. 11 of them and 1 Fox. The Fox is what made me giggle so hard. To go, this is nuts. I have 11 Ruth Bader Ginsburgs on 1 envelope right now. That looks nuts. That's crazy. Also, I assume there's a lot of people, like someone in Italy is not like, oh, right, that's the progressive Supreme Court justice that served for decades. They might not. I'm sending them to people who don't live in America who might not know RBG. So they're just going, why is Gethard sending me an envelope with 11 pictures of this stern older woman on them and 1 Fox? Crazy looking envelopes. I loved getting to make them and send them out. Like I said, by the time this episode comes out, knock on wood, the final issues will be going out in the mail. Wanted to let everybody know some cool, just data stuff, just to get a little nerdy about the data. We sent them all over the United States. I'd be shocked. We haven't counted it up yet. I'd be shocked if we didn't get to every single one of the 50 United States. I don't know if I saw any Wyomings in there, Idaho's. I don't know, but Andrea did a bunch as well. But the majority of the 50 states, the magazine is in those states. We sent so many to Canada, so many to England. We sent a whole bunch to Scotland. We sent them to Ireland. We sent a whole lot to Australia. We sent a whole bunch to New Zealand. We sent a handful to Germany. I wasn't expecting that many. We sent a bunch to the Netherlands. We sent one to Hong Kong, India, Austria, Japan, Sweden, Singapore, France, Italy, Portugal, Switzerland, Belgium, and Norway. So when you're reading the magazine, I sincerely thank you for going for it, for wanting it, for supporting the show. It means a lot to be able to make a piece of physical media. Magazines everywhere are dying. Print is dying. Newspapers are dying. So for a show that lives and dies by long phone calls, magazines are another thing that I love, that I remember so fondly as a formative part of my upbringing. To have you hold one in your hands that I spearheaded the existence of, very cool. Thank you. But I also just want you all to know there's 21 countries where that magazine is in those countries. It's on 4 of the continents. This thing is all over North America, Europe, Australia, Asia. I don't like to be histrionic, and I don't like to overblow the importance of that, but I will say I feel very connected to everyone who I got to stuff an envelope and get you a copy of that magazine. The closest person to receive a magazine to me was my neighbor Susan, who lives directly across the street. When I look out my front door, I see Susan's front door. Susan got a magazine. Thank you, Susan. The farthest away, I don't know, Australia, Hong Kong, Japan. Feels very cool to feel like we're not just theoretical humans out there who maybe leave a comment in a Facebook group once in a while or try to call or do get on the calls or listen passively. But no, you're actual humans holding a thing that I or Andrea dropped in an envelope. It's a cool feeling. Like we're all nodes in this connected web. Doesn't have any impact in a huge way beyond that, except to say, let's remember we are people and we are out here, and shared interests bring people together. And for many years, almost 10 years now, Beautiful Anonymous has been a shared interest that brings a lot of people together. And this little magazine project was such a delightful reminder that those people live all over our home base country. They live all over England, Scotland, and Ireland. They live all over Australia and New Zealand, and then they live all over Germany, the Netherlands, Hong Kong, India, Austria, Japan, Sweden, Singapore, France, Italy, Portugal, Switzerland, Belgium, and Norway too. That's just cool. And of course, they live all over Canada. Our friends, Canada. My friends, Canada. New York is the city that has supported me the most in the history of my career. And then outside of that, it's either Chicago or Toronto. And that's neck and neck right there. Montreal, great town. Vancouver, great town. I've been through all those towns. Canada's great. Our caller today is Canadian. Our caller today is also American. When I stress that she is American in a way that is truly newborn, you are going to hear she's an American citizen as fresh can be. We talk a lot about that, about what that experience is like, particularly right now for a Canadian to opt into being an American in a time when it feels that relations between the two countries are as strained as they've ever been. Get a little more political than we've been getting, but we also have amazing tangents about wrestling and about businesses. When you hear towards the end of the call what kind of business her and her husband own, I think you will be as thoroughly charmed as Andrea and I were. Over at beautifulanonymous.com, where you, of course, get extra stuff all the time. Not only do we do the 5 questions, but the caller does me a kindness and specifically hangs back on one story and says, I actually will not tell that one until it's behind the paywall, which is very adorable and honestly highly encouraged. If you ever are like, hey, I want to reserve this badass story for paywall only, I'm never going to say no. That's on you. I'll never do it. I won't require it. But if you do it, I think that's hilarious and much appreciated. Anyway, this call is really great. Our new American friend, thank you so much for calling. Thank you for everything. And thanks everybody for listening. Also, all those countries that got the magazine, it's a reminder to me. For every person that got the magazine, there's exponentially more people that didn't. And I'm not mad. I don't expect every single person who listens to sign up for paywall stuff, which is how you got the magazine. But it is a good reminder. Every magazine I sent out, I wonder how many people are actually listening. If this is the tiny percentage opting into this, we're out there. Thoughtful listeners are out there. People who really want to connect with other humans. They're out there. We're out here. We exist. It's real. Feels right now like it's very easy to get swallowed up in all kinds of noise, especially negative noise. So it's really, really good to remember that we are all out here. Enjoy the call, everybody.
Thank you for calling Beautiful Anonymous. A beeping noise will indicate when you are on the show with the host.
Hello?
Hello, Chris?
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm so good. I've had a crazy day.
Everything all right?
Yeah, I actually took my oath ceremony to become an American this morning.
You took your oath to become an American this morning?
This morning. Can you guess where I'm from?
I'm going to listen to you talk a little more and then I'll guess. First of all, I want to say congratulations. Second of all,
thank you.
You're sneaking in right at the tail end of everything, huh?
Oh,
you joined this whole America party just as we're about to lock the doors up and tell everybody it's time to go home.
I know.
You must have a very unique perspective on this.
Oh, I do. How was Hawaii?
It was really great. Thanks for asking. Got to do a bunch of
good.
Yeah, got to do a bunch of touristy stuff, and then also hung out with my uncle and his entire family. Oh. Which includes, at this point, his 2 daughters, his many grandchildren, and his great-granddaughter, who played with Cal the whole time. Oh, wow. It was very cool.
Oh, nice.
So, where are you from?
I am from a place where you spent majority of your time during COVID and you were upset because you were in the hotel room. And I was thinking, there's so many great places I could tell him to go for a walk or a hike or
Canada.
Yeah, Canada.
Yeah.
Do you know which city?
Vancouver.
The one you work in all the time?
It has to be Vancouver, right?
It is. Yeah. That's where I'm from.
From Vancouver. Fascinating. This is fascinating because I need to know, let's be honest. I mean, you have such an interesting perspective because you took the oath of American citizenship earlier today, you said?
Earlier today, about 3 hours ago.
Most Canadians not scrambling to get more on board with America right now.
I fell in love with an American.
Oh, you did?
I'd be back there. Well, I wouldn't be watching hockey right now because my team's out of the playoffs, but...
So you married an American, getting citizenship as
married
part of
an
that.
American. Mm-hmm. He's from upstate New York, and we lived there, which I like to call District 12, for a few years. Mm-hmm. I applied for a green card, couldn't work for 3 years, so he had to support me for those 3 years, which was very hard for me. I've been working since I've been babysitting since I was 11, and I had my first job at 14. I've always taken care of myself. So that was really hard not to work, and it was a small town, so I didn't, and they weren't very nice either. Like, people were, one lady asked me if we had highways in Canada, like, things like that, where I'm just, okay.
In upstate New York?
Yeah.
Upstate New York is right next to Canada. It touches Canada.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So this is just actual willful ignorance from people towards you.
I had one girl tell me that I spoke English very well for being Canadian.
That's
sad.
That's a lot. That's aggressive.
It's a lot. Yeah. So anyways, we lived there, and his aunt lived in the South. And I lived there for 3 years, couldn't deal with it, couldn't work. Finally got my green card, and we went down south. So I'm actually a Vancouverite living in the deep South Bible Belt right now, which is really interesting too.
So you live in the deep South right now?
Right now. Mm-hmm.
From Vancouver?
Yeah.
So this is wild. So, because let's be clear. So for anybody who's not familiar, because I've now spent every acting job on an American TV show now just means you go to Vancouver.
In Vancouver.
All American TV routes through Vancouver, Canada right now.
I used to be a set decorator years ago, yeah.
Everybody's got these industry. Meanwhile, the whole industry is dying in Los Angeles. Vancouver thriving. Vancouver, for anybody who hasn't been, lovely city. There's a beautiful park right in downtown where seaplanes land. It's fun to just sit
Stanley
on a bench.
Park.
Sit on a bench, watch the planes land right there, right in front of you on the surface of the water. Great town, very modern city, very much part of the circuit of, I think, the American Pacific Northwest, as far as some hippie vibes, some health vibes, some let's go hiking vibes, let's have a connection between the city and nature type people. Point being, it must be very weird for you to come from an undoubtedly cosmopolitan city, a world city, move to upstate New York and have people saying to you, do they have highways? You speak English pretty well. You sit there,
I should specify a small town in upstate New York near Syracuse. Very small town.
Upstate New York. I love it. I mean, my parents live most of the year in upstate New York. And
lovely.
I love it.
It's so pretty for 2 weeks in October.
When those leaves change, the leaf peeping season, the leaf peeping season of upstate New York is stunning. Upstate New York, though, I got to be honest, because I love it. I love it really fully. Like I've spent the amount, my family, the amount of times we spent driving up to Lake George when my family had no money when I was a kid, because you could have a really beautiful time and a cheap vacation there. But upstate New York, you go, one town is like, it's been completely taken over by Brooklyn people. And then the next town over is like, without being closed-minded, like overrun by a meth epidemic and people making their own liquor. And then the next town over splits the difference. Yeah, like it's real. Upstate New York is a really, really fascinating cultural place.
Very much. So I couldn't handle the cold. Everyone said, but you're Canadian. I'm like, I'm from Vancouver. We don't have snow. What do you mean you don't have snow? Well, it snows maybe a week a year here. And, I had to always explain that. And so we moved to the south, and we've been here for 6 years now. No, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, we've been here for 10 years now. I've been working since we moved to the south, and we also own our own business. So doing that as well as working a full-time job. So that's been a little bit crazy. And in the beginning of last summer, I just had a feeling that Biden wasn't going to get in, and I had a feeling that something was going to shift. And I just knew. I'm really intuitive, and I just knew I had to do something. I didn't feel safe being here. I didn't feel safe to talk about politics. I still don't really hear, like, in Canadians, I mean, we talk about politics, but it's more, I don't know, you listen to the other person and kind of, I don't know, it's more mature, I guess. I don't want to say, I'm sorry, Americans, I don't mean that in a bad way, but just, I'm American now, shoot. Do you know what I mean?
As of today, you are an American.
I know, I just realized that. It's just it's easier to hear both sides, or it hasn't been my experience that it's been easier to hear both sides. Whereas here, like, I married somebody that is a former Marine, and so there's assumptions made. I'm a white person. There's assumptions made of how I vote, or what my party is, and none of those assumptions are true. But I get to hear, because I look like I represent whatever they think that voter is. I get to hear all these, how much they hate, this, that, the other thing. And it's really sad. So it made me kind of shrink a little bit and not share what my beliefs were. And, I don't widely share them anyways, but, I just, in Canada or in Vancouver, I could just, I don't know, I could be myself. And now I finally feel like this long road that cost me about, probably, we totaled it up the other day. It was about $40,000 from start to finish to immigrate here. And that's including me, or not including me not working for 3 years. just all the paperwork and the different green cards and, this and that and the other thing. It's a lot of money, it's not, and the other side of this coin is I actually lived in Mexico for 3 years when I was in my 20s, and I made $10 a day when I was living in Mexico, plus tips. But, it's just, I think of my friends there, and how the heck are they going to come up with $40,000 to, I don't, anyways, that's a whole other thing. But yeah, and I just had an intuitive thought. I thought, no, I better get this. I want to be safe. And I applied and I had my appointment. They canceled my first appointment because it was in, I guess, right after he took office. They canceled my first appointment and made another appointment for today. For a month ago. So I had my interview and I was terrified and I was crying and I studied. I never study for things. I studied. I know every question inside out, backwards, forwards now. And I passed and I got every question right. And then today my husband and I drove up there and there was about 50 of us that were all taking the oath, and I was the only Canadian. So 34 different countries represented. So
34?
34 countries, yeah.
Wow.
And when he said the name of a country, everybody from that country would stand up. It was a really beautiful ceremony. And then when he said Canada, I stood up and I looked around and I was the only one.
Whoa. Now, a few things. I have so many questions and also a few responses.
Sorry, I talked a lot.
No, please. I love it. I love it. Makes my job easier. But do want to say a couple things, which is one, I'll push back. First of all, I do think America is in a particularly intense, hard to explain stretch right now. So it's totally fair. And I do think American politics, I think you are right. And there's never been a time, I think, in my just about 45 years on Earth that I can remember where it feels more tense, that as soon as politics come up, you feel people get tense. That's very true. That's very true. That being said, when you say that Canada has more willingness and more openness to at least hear each other out, I both believe you. I will also say, though, I believe that about Vancouver in particular, because I've met people from oil country in Canada. Oh, yeah. And they get off on being cowboys just as much as people in Texas do.
No, I guess I'm speaking more to Vancouver, not Alberta.
Well, I think it's a good thing to point out, only in the sense of...
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Well, and I also think, too, borders are created. Maps are drawn by human hands. And when you think culturally, you sit here, you go, let's be honest, right? Vancouver and Seattle and Portland have more to do with each other than you could argue Vancouver does with, I don't know, Regina or Winnipeg or Calgary. Is that fair to say?
Oh, yeah, definitely. 100%. 100%.
And more than Seattle and Portland have to, they have more in common with Vancouver than they do with Tampa, Florida. Those borders are just
absolutely.
Culturally, borders don't matter, which is one of those silly things. Now, I'm not somebody who sits here and goes, you don't need borders. Of course you do. But I'm also not somebody who's going to sit here and go murderers and rapists sneak over the border and they're trying to inject us all with fentanyl. That's just ridiculous.
Right.
That's
fear-based mentality.
It's just using a created line that someone drew on a map based on proprietary nation status and treaties and wars and surveyors to now divide people based on histrionics. So I will push back and say, I don't know if, the romanticization of Canada, usually Canadians are the ones to be like, hey, progressive Americans love putting Canada on a pedestal. You got to stop doing that, everybody. So I do want to just say,
well, they're not now.
Yeah, not nearly as much. Canada's not feeling it. And that might have done some permanent damage with that relationship. True or false?
Oh, True. It's sadly true. None of my friends want to visit me right now.
They don't want to put their money in the American economy. They want to just draw.
They don't want to come here. They're scared. Like it's, I haven't wanted to go home until I got this thing today so I can apply for a passport, because my whole life is here right now. My husband's here. We own a business here. I have a full-time job here. I have a house here, and I've been scared to, even with a green card that came in legally, just based on, some of the rhetoric that I've been reading online and, and hearing about people. And, it's just, we are all human, and, you're so smart, Chris, and you're so traveled, and, it's such a unique perspective. And I've traveled a lot too, and I've seen, different parts of the world. And I just feel my heart breaks sometimes when I see how sheltered, or how people aren't, just sit with somebody from another culture, just for a minute, have a conversation, have a cup of coffee, you might learn something.
Yeah.
I had a lady behind me in the oath ceremony today, and she was from Thailand, and she was probably in her probably 70s. And she was from Thailand, and we were all by ourselves. So we were talking, and I said, "Where are you from?" She said, "Thailand." And she hadn't been back there in 50 years. And she just got her citizenship today, and it was so emotional for her. And I just thought, wow, like, you've been scared to go home because you didn't have that, it's, and being a Canadian, typically we've been able to go back and forth and, buy our milk and, whatever, buy our shoes and stuff like that forever. And I've never really thought about it, and it's something that I've really took for granted.
Yeah, it's something I think we all need to think about. So many thoughts come to mind. First, thank you for the compliments. I would actually argue I'm only traveled by the necessity of my career. And if anything, I'm somebody who comes from like a working class mentality where travel scared me. And thank God my career sucked me into a lot of travel because it was eye-opening. I will also say, hearing you talk about someone who's been in America for 50 years, getting their citizenship today, you sit here and you go, there are people who are so scared they're going to be asked to leave. And it's not theoretical. It's happening. It is happening.
It's happening
all the time. And I would argue, if you have lived in America for 50 years, it is a very arbitrary classification for anyone to claim that Thailand is your home. It is hard to believe that unless you are wreaking holy terror on America, that your home is anywhere except America. And it's certainly not some weird prison in El Salvador that, how did we wind up sending people there? Certainly not Guantanamo Bay, where they locked up the 9/11 hijackers. Like, I know everyone's tired of hearing about it. I often hide my head in the sand too, but since I'm talking to someone who just got your citizenship today, I sit here, I go, can you imagine living in this country for 50 years, being someone who pays your taxes, raises your kids, goes and helps out at the PTA events at the school, spends your money like any good American, supports local businesses, and they go, actually, no, Thailand is your home, and if you fight back, maybe Guantanamo Bay will be where you wind up. Like, I know not everyone who listens agrees with my politics, but with that one, I sit here, I go, how is it anything but logical to say that someone who's lived here for 50 years as a citizen, and how is it anything but logical to say that even if you have the most strict views of what immigration should mean, that a weird secret, like semi-secret prison in El Salvador is not in any way protecting America or American values. Like, this is dark. It is weird. I don't want to be histrionic. I want to say it out loud. Let's pause right there on the phrase, I want to say it out loud. You know what else I want to say out loud? These advertisements. IQ Mix is a zero sugar drink mix from IQBAR that hydrates, boosts your mood, and promotes mental clarity. IQ Mix has 3 times the electrolytes of other sports drinks and is packed with electrolytes and nutrients shown to support sustained cognitive and physical performance. IQ Mix is free from gluten, sugar, soy, and GMOs. It's even certified vegan and kosher with over 20,000 5-star reviews and counting. More people than ever are starting their days off right with IQBAR's brain and body boosting bars, IQ Mix hydration mixes, of course, the mushroom coffees that my wife is the biggest fan of on earth. And I'll also tell you too, I'm so happy to help with, I just traveled. I'm so happy to tell you about IQ Mix. When I went on vacation to Hawaii, I don't vacation that much. I don't travel that far. I am telling you, the front of my backpack was full of my little IQ Mix pouches because I knew if I'm going to be sitting on a plane for this many hours, and I'm not going to have access to water as much as I want, IQ Mix saves the day. I'm in Hawaii where it's easy to get dehydrated. I'm out in the sun all day. IQ Mix is saving my life. I used it as a sidekick on my entire vacation. IQ Mix is great. I start a lot of mornings where I got my morning glass of water. Why not add a little flavor to it and know that I'm kicking the day off with a bunch of really healthy stuff along the way? IQ Mix in there. It is great. All the IQBAR products are great, honestly. Right now, IQBAR is offering our special podcast listeners 20% off all IQBAR products, plus get free shipping. To get your 20% off, text BEAUTIFUL to 64,000. That's BEAUTIFUL to 64,000. Text the word BEAUTIFUL to 64000. Message and data rates may apply. See terms for details. I think we've all had a version of a conversation where you run into somebody, they're like, how you doing? And you're like, I'm good. Are you? And they're like, I'm good. And you haven't actually thought about it. You haven't actually considered where you are at, right? You're listening to Beautiful Anonymous, a show that's about connecting with people in a genuine way. Let's get to a point where we mean it when we say we're doing good. And that's why I'm so happy to tell you about Headspace. I've been using Headspace. It is cool, man. Headspace is the app that helps me and 100 million people with their mental health and well-being with guided meditations, mindfulness practices, breathing and calming exercises, and so much more. I'm reducing stress. I'm boosting my mood. I'm sleeping better, and I am a notoriously bad sleeper, but Headspace is genuinely so great. Headspace combines scientifically proven benefits of meditation and mindfulness with modern practices, and you'll learn from experienced meditation teachers. The app has customized, personalized approaches to help you navigate through all of life's moments, big and small. If you're a total newbie or you've been meditating for years, there's content on there for what you're going through. Whenever I use it, I feel like, man, it is right in the strike zone of what I'm looking for. They really do a good job of building it out just for you. When you're on schedule, when you're on the go, Headspace has the quick on-the-go programs. They'll help you get in the right headspace in just a few minutes. Plus, with over 1,000 hours of mindfulness exercises, it's got the most complete meditation library I've seen. So you can always find something in there that works for you. And I have to tell you, I've been using Headspace. I sometimes over the years will say that I sit there and go, meditation takes time. But Headspace has designed it in a way where, I mean, the on-the-go program that's mentioned is a game changer. But to know that all of it is organized, ready, waiting for you, you sit here, you go, this is the exact type of thing that maybe I delay when I start watching TV tonight. Maybe I realize I've been clicking around on the same 10 websites. I'm not getting anything out of it. Go to Headspace instead. And I'm telling you, it just readjusts things in your day and really helps you get to a good spot. Feel good and mean it when you say it. For a limited time, get Headspace free for 60 days. Go to headspace.com/beautiful. That's HEADSPACE.com/beautiful to unlock all of Headspace free for 60 days. Headspace.com/beautiful. If you're out there running a business, as I run a business, our caller today runs a business, you know, time is of the essence. There's so many things that drag your time in different directions. Hiring should not be one of them. That shouldn't be a drain on your budget either. Upwork is your one-stop shop to find, hire, and pay top freelance talent. Saves you time, keeps costs in check, and it's all in one place. With more than 2 decades of experience and a simple and ambitious goal, Upwork is out here trying to find a better way of working. Companies at every stage turn to Upwork to get things done and find more flexibility in the way they staff key projects and initiatives by accessing a global marketplace filled with top talent in IT, web development, AI, design, admin support, marketing, and more. Posting a job on Upwork is easy. With no cost to join, you can register, browse freelancer profiles, get help drafting a job post, or even book a consultation. From there, you connect with freelancers that get you and can easily hire them to take your business to the next level. Upwork makes the entire process easier, simpler, and more affordable with industry-low fees. Post a job today and hire tomorrow with Upwork. Visit Upwork.com right now. Post your job for free. That's Upwork.com to post your job for free and connect with top talent ready to help your business grow. That's UPWORK.com, Upwork.com. Thanks to all our advertisers. Now let's get back to the phone call. I want to say it out loud.
Yeah, I think when you say it out loud, it brings life to, well, not life to it, but it makes it, makes it more real to think about, like just, oh no, this is actually happening. I'm not watching a movie. I'm not reading a book somewhere. I'm not watching the Hunger Games or, this is actually what's going on. But, aside from the fear mongering, like I made a decision in January that I was just going to give love to everybody, just compassion and love, and regardless where they fall politically, I don't even, especially down here, I don't even really want to know, because then my ego will come up and judge it. But, I'm just trying my best now to just give love to everybody and just be a really good person and a really good citizen of this country now. And, and just, I don't know. It's such a weird time. Like I'm okay. Your Boston caller is going to be mad about this, but I have a 4-wheel drive truck, and it's blue. It's Canucks blue, and its name is Lou for Luongo. And I have a big Canucks emblem on the back of my car, and I had someone comment on it like 3 weeks ago, and it wasn't a hockey fan. It was somebody that was talking about me being Canadian to go home. And that just hit me like a ton of bricks. And one of my girlfriends, who's also dual citizen, was wearing a Canadian shirt the other day. And a few people at my work were like, aren't you scared to wear that around here? And I thought, what have we come to? Yeah. Like, it's, I mean, I don't want to go down a dark, like I want to be a fun call, but I also am around your age, and I did watch wrestling when I was a kid.
Oh, you did?
So I can. Oh, well, I have 2 brothers, and we had 1 TV, so that's what happened.
I love it.
Yeah,
and now,
Hulk Hogan, Jake the Snake, all that.
I was going to ask, were you watching the early WWE stuff back then, or were you still also watching Stampede Wrestling?
It was WWF
Stu
when I was
Hart's
watching
Stampede Wrestling, which was legendary in Canada as well.
I did watch that too. My brother's actually friends with Bret the Hitman Hart. Like, he's actually friends with him. Which is kind of cool.
Your brother is personal friends with Bret the Hitman Hart?
Personal friends, yeah.
Like he could text Bret the Hitman Hart right now and that wouldn't be weird?
That wouldn't be weird.
The excellence of execution. The best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be.
And I used to have stickers on my desk in school of Davey Boy Smith and the Dynamite Kid, because we got them in our chip packets, the little stickers. I don't know if you guys got them, but...
You're telling me, because again, Stampede legends, Davey Boy Smith, of course, the British Bulldog, went on to a famous run in WWE, won the Intercontinental Championship from Bret Hart at Wembley Stadium in a Return to England home show. Now we're also talking, though, Dynamite Kid. Tom Billingsley, I believe was his real name. Notorious.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Notorious asshole behind the scenes. Notoriously bullyish.
Really?
Asshole.
Oh, you just broke my heart.
But that being said, undoubtedly one of the most innovative wrestlers of all time, specifically in his matches with Tiger Mask, which started in Japan and brought together worldwide styles for the first time, and then had game-changing matches in Madison Square Garden where the crowd actually has reported that they felt like they were watching aliens from a different planet because the style of wrestling was so advanced beyond anything they'd seen before. You grew up a fan of the Dynamite Kid?
I did. I didn't know all that stuff, though, but yeah.
We could talk about the stress of the American immigration experience right now, and we can also talk about the long lineage of Canadian wrestling. And both of those things are very valid.
You know where I still have trauma? Do you remember when George Animal Steel stole Elizabeth out of the ring?
Of course I do.
And I was like crying. I was, because you and I are around the same age. I was bawling. I was so worried about her. Is she okay? She's going with that. And I mean, he was a good guy, but you know, Randy was her man. Like what, you know, anyway.
Macho Man Randy
still bothers me.
And listen, I'll say this too. I love my wife, but growing up a wrestling fan in the 80s, Miss Elizabeth was presented to me as the absolute apex of feminine beauty, and I don't know if that imprint ever totally left my inner soul.
Oh, but she was graceful and sweet, and she passed away, didn't she? That was so sad.
She did. I think, as it does with many wrestling stories, I think it ended pretty poorly for Miss Elizabeth. But that being said, Miss Elizabeth was a beacon of class in a classless industry, and
well put.
Absolutely, I still think about Miss Elizabeth from time to time.
Well, I'm glad she got back from George Animal Steel.
Yeah, but then, of course, she was right in the middle of a lot of drama between the Macho Man and Hulk Hogan.
Oh, I don't know that drama.
They were tag team partners for a while, and there was one stretch where Macho Man was getting beaten down and Elizabeth was in harm's way, so Hogan stepped up and rescued Elizabeth, and Macho Man took that personally and got very, very territorial over Elizabeth, and it caused those friends to fracture.
Oh, wow. I think I forgot about that must have slipped out of my mind.
That's fair.
But yeah, no, I grew up with two brothers, so there was one TV, so that's what we got. You know, but they were well versed on Gem and the holograms too, so it went both ways.
I mean, Gem and the holograms was absolutely a highlight of the 1980s.
Of course it was.
A superheroine who's also a pop star. Let's everybody sign right up for that.
Yeah, and what else I want to talk about? It's so weird because I feel like today is a dream. Like I'm a touchstone caller, so I'll save the really good stuff for the paid people.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That just means everybody should sign up because we do good stuff back there.
Of course it does. Well, I signed up because that one person on the Facebook group, put out that comment, and I went, "Oh yeah, what am I waiting for? I have to do this. I love it." And let me tell you, people, it is worth its weight in gold because I've gone back and listened to previous episodes, heard all the 5 questions. It's amazing, and it's so enriching. That's my plug.
Thank you so much. That's super kind of you. Thank you for the plug.
Yeah. I almost got kidnapped in Mexico. There's my plug too for the touchstone callers.
You almost got kidnapped in Mexico, but you're only willing to talk about it behind the paywall?
That's right.
I love you calling your shot on what you will carve out. I love you doing a trailer for your own story behind the paywall. That is beautiful and takes the pressure off me. Thank you so much.
Oh yeah. I got you. Don't worry. It's worth its weight in gold anyway. So, and I've fallen in love with all of your callers. Like, just all of them. They're all unique and beautiful in their own ways. And you're so great with everybody. And
that's kind.
I actually am I'm a trained therapist too. And I love how you talk to people. I think you're doing great, especially with people that, sometimes they're maybe going through a big struggle or something. Like you're just so compassionate with them. And it's really nice to hear that voice, especially during COVID. And when times were tough here, like my father passed away during COVID, I couldn't get home because of all the rules. And I couldn't get home in time to see him. And your voice was one that kind of carried me through with people calling you. And, I realized I wasn't alone and, that other people were struggling with things too. And it was really beautiful to hear, strangers' stories.
Well, I'm very sorry for your loss and happy to help during a tough time.
Yeah.
Can I ask you another question about your experience today?
Oh, yes.
Did you have to take that big knowledge test as part of your citizenship?
Yes, I did.
I have long heard tales that test is so hard that most average Americans would flunk it immediately. Would that be true to your experience as well?
That is absolutely true, because I tested average Americans while I was studying for it, and none of them got all the questions. Well, one of them did. One girl did. But she's kind of a Monica, you know?
Would it, as something of a Chandler over here, I'm wondering, do you happen to have those questions handy, or some of the harder ones that come to mind? I'd love for you to...
you know what? Actually, I do. Let me go get them.
Please do, because
give me a second.
I sit here, I go, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I graduated...
No, you're pretty smart. You'll probably be okay.
I'm pretty smart. I graduated from a state school in New Jersey, one of the better funded education states, public school education from kindergarten on through college. Try to stay well-read. Try to be worldly. I have no idea how I'd do on this quiz. So let's go ahead and see what kind of hell we're putting people through when they want to become a member of this country, and how I would argue that if most Americans who are fiercely anti-immigrant right now couldn't answer these questions, there is just on that basic level some representation of hypocrisy. And I think I'm probably smarter than a lot of them. Not to be totally judgmental, I just think I'm smarter than a lot of people who are like, immigrants, this and that. Like, I think, so if I can't do it, I think it's going to be very revealing about the hypocrisy of some of this.
Okay. Do you want me? Okay. I find tough questions. So part of my studying was I wrote every question and answer down, because I'm a kinesthetic learner. So I needed to kind of feel it, I guess.
Yeah. Let's start with some that you think are like easy to medium level, and then let's go up towards the top.
Okay. Who is the Chief Justice of the U.S. now?
John Roberts.
Yeah. Why did the colonists fight the British?
Why did the colonists fight the British? That's a question for citizenship. The British were part of an empire that held America as a territory, and they wanted to break off from that and establish their own freedom in their own nation.
Well, I just put taxation without representation, but yeah, that probably works too. There were 13 original states, and you're supposed to name 3, but I named all 13.
I'll see if I can name. Ooh, it's tough, because there's some tough aspects to this, because some of those New England ones broke up into... They fragmented afterwards, right? Damn. Okay, so out of the original 13 colonies, how can I do? Massachusetts.
Yep.
Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, Georgia.
Yes.
I believe South and...
You're missing 3.
I believe South and North Carolina had already split.
Yes.
So I believe they were 2.
Nope.
Oh, it was just Carolina?
No, North and South, you're right.
North and South. So I only have 1 left or 2 left?
Yep. 1 left, I think. Oh, no, you have 2 left, I think, unless I can't remember if you said
Vermont was already a state, because the Green Mountain...
Nope.
Vermont wasn't a state? What about the Green Mountain Boys, Ethan Allen? Maine?
I don't know.
Maine, New Hampshire?
4, 5, 6. New Hampshire. That's it, New Hampshire. New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania,
Rhode Island.
Delaware.
Roger Williams. I missed Rhode Island.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought you did. I thought the High Priestess would have caught that one. But Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia.
I did pretty good. I mean, I nailed more than 3.
You did very good. You did better than every single solitary person that I asked these questions to, including my husband,
I'm crushing
who actually
it so far.
knew most of them.
I'm crushing it so far.
You're crushing it. What did Susan B. Anthony do?
Susan B. Anthony was a very notable, very notable for fighting for women's rights, including the right to vote. Suffragette, and if you want to just boil it down to one word.
Okay, I'm going to find a harder one for you. Before he was president, Eisenhower was a general. What war was he in?
I believe it was
Right?
It was either World War II or Korea.
One of those is right.
I know one of those is right. I mean, MacArthur ran shit in World War II. I'm going to say, is it Korea? World War II.
No, World War II.
I overthought it. I learned with me, I always have to go with my first instinct. Okay. Look at this. The cracks are starting to show.
They are. Well, a little bit, but you're still, I'm trying to find you really hard. Okay. No, you'll know that. No. I don't want to ask you that one yet.
Thus far, I'm acing it, and I don't want to be a dickhead, but I'm like, people complain too much about this test. It's tricky, but it's not that hard. So I'm getting judgy.
Okay. See, now I think all of these questions. Why do you... Oh, no, that's an easy one. Never mind. What movement tried to end racial discrimination? This one should be easy, but...
The Civil Rights Movement.
Yes. We elect a U.S. representative for how many years?
2.
We elect a U.S. senator for how many years?
6.
The Federalist Papers supported the passage of the U.S. Constitution. Name 3 of the writers.
Alexander Hamilton, James Madison, and John motherfucking Jay.
Oh, good job. Okay.
That one would trip most people up.
That one would trip most people, but not you. What
John Jay only wrote a handful of them.
US
John Jay only wrote a handful of them, and then he got sick, and Hamilton took over, by and large.
Good job.
Thank you so much.
Good job. No, you did really good, I think. I mean, the other things I know, because I listen to the show a lot, so I know that. Name one American. Name 1, 2, 3, 4. Name a few American Indian tribes in the United States.
The Seminole tribe, the Navajo tribe, the Iroquois, the Sioux.
Yes.
You want me to keep how many? I mean,
Cherokee, Navajo, Choctaw, Blackfeet, Apache. Yes.
Okay. I feel okay about that one, but apologies to native listeners. I froze up a little and should have done better. I'm loving this. I'm loving this test.
For me, it was interesting too, because some of them are intertwined in Canada as well. And I was actually quite involved in the Native community in Canada. I did a lot of sweat lodges and did a lot of, when I was training to be a therapist, helped a lot.
Wow.
And so I know those ones. So I got tripped up on that one. Name one right. Okay. Who did the U.S. fight in World War II?
The Axis powers, which most specifically
3 countries.
Most generally, that refers to Germany, Japan, and Italy.
Yes.
Although Italy, I mean, we did. People like to say, "Oh, Italy doesn't matter that much," but in the early part of the war, American involvement in the war, we did lose a lot more troops in Italy than we think about. But mostly fighting the Germans.
Well, and I'm half Croatian, so that's right next door.
I have always wanted to go to Croatia. Have you been?
Oh, you gotta go. Are you a Game of Thrones fan?
I was until that last season really broke my heart.
I know. It broke my heart too, but I love that show so much. You have to go. You have to go. Take your family.
I've heard that if you're somebody who wants to go to like Italy or Greece and do a Mediterranean vacation, that actually you can get an experience in Croatia that's cheaper, more laid back.
Well, not anymore.
Oh, really? Is the secret out?
Well, yeah, it's Game of Thrones ruined it.
Oh, Game of Thrones tourism blew it up.
I mean,
but you can vouch this. I've also actually heard that if you're like, but I want to do Italy for the food, that you can actually get some of the best Italian food in the world in Croatia. True or false?
Absolutely. Yeah, true.
So much cross culture because of Mediterranean trading over the years.
Well, and just, I mean, the Hungarian Empire, I mean, that whole thing was, if you look at a map, there's a YouTube video where it shows, the border lines. I mean, we're going back to borders here, but shows how through the times those borders have changed so drastically,
Yeah.
The House of Representatives has how many voting members?
I believe, I'm reaching back here in my memory banks. I believe it's 535? 545?
Wrong.
545?
You are so almost there, but you're not.
What is it?
435.
435?
Mm-hmm.
Damn. I was off by 100 representatives. That's not good. That's not good. I'm a pretty smart American, and I shouldn't. This is where we're really starting to show. I know a lot of you people out there listening to this tapped out way before John Jay. There's a lot of people who tapped out at John Roberts. Okay, let's keep it going now that the cracks are starting to show.
All right. The idea of self-government is in the first 3 words of the Constitution. What are these words? Three words.
We the people?
Yes.
I wasn't sure if that was the Declaration of Independence or the Constitution. Wasn't positive.
Let me turn late. What happened at the Constitutional Convention?
What happened?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to be fully honest and say my belief is that the Constitutional Convention happened after the American Revolution and is not a thing that still happens today. I believe the Constitutional Convention was where representatives from the original 13 colonies came together. Originally, they came up with the Articles of Confederation, but it was kind of dog shit and ineffective. The Constitutional Convention, I believe, met in Philadelphia. And the 13...
Oh my gosh, that's the longest answer ever.
This is where they made up the Constitution.
The Constitution was written as the answer.
Okay, what else? What else? I love this.
Okay, I got you more. Okay, some of them are like, when do we celebrate Independence Day?
Anytime Will Smith puts out a blockbuster, baby.
That's right. Who vetoes bills?
Who what?
Who vetoes bills?
Oh, I thought you said who's Devo's bills, like Devo the...
Oh, no, who veto.
Oh, veto, the president. The president vetoes bills.
What is one reason colonists came to America?
Religious persecution.
Mm-hmm. When was the Constitution written? What year?
Fuck. Let's pause right there. You know you don't know either. You nerds. If anybody's out there and they actually know the year the Constitution was written, you a nerd. You're a nerd. Anyway, we'll be right back. Delete Me has been such a big supporter of Beautiful Anonymous, and I need to say Delete Me is a service that has helped me immeasurably. They have helped me feel safer about so many things. But I'm not messing around when I tell you Delete Me is a service that I use, and I feel like myself and my family are better off for it. Delete Me makes it easy, quick, and safe to remove your personal data online at a time when surveillance and data breaches are common enough to make everyone vulnerable. If you look into it, it is wild how easy it is to find personal info about people online. Your address, phone number, family members' names and addresses, all that stuff's sitting on the internet. And that info can have consequences in the real world. Makes you vulnerable. Think about it. Identity theft, harassment, people knowing where you live when you might not want them knowing where you live. It's wild stuff. With Delete Me, you can protect your personal privacy or the privacy of your business from doxing attacks before sensitive information can get out there, before these data brokers can get their hands on it and start selling your data to people with bad intentions. I'm telling you, you guys have heard me over the months saying this. You can feel that it's very real. I have been in a few situations where I feel like I have a real need for privacy. Okay. There are some situations in my life where I go, I need to know that my kid is as safe as he can be. And because I have had some people who appreciate my work who don't necessarily understand boundaries, I go, I can't have this info out there. And Delete Me, when I tell you they brought comfort to me in a stretch of my life where things were really heated with this, I mean, they have slowed down, thankfully. Delete Me, that is not an exaggeration. Delete Me stepped in, started sending me these reports of how they were removing my info from all these different sites. If it would go back up, they'd take it down. I got to let out a big breath of fresh air and say, cool, this is one less thing I need to worry about. Thank you, Delete Me. Take control of your data. Keep your private life private. Sign up for Delete Me, now at a special discount for our listeners. Get 20% off your Delete Me plan when you go to joindeleteme.com/beautiful. Use the promo code beautiful at checkout. The only way to get 20% off, go to joindeleteme.com/beautiful. Enter code beautiful at checkout. That's joindeleteme.com/beautiful. Code beautiful. Bowl and Branch. I'm so excited to tell you about it. We're almost at summer, and I'll tell you, my wife and I sleep at different temperatures. It's a bummer. I sweat a lot. It disrupts. It doesn't. I sleep hot. That wakes my wife up. We're tossing. We're turning. It's not great. You need that cooler comfort, right? Well, with Bowl and Branch's best-selling Percale sheets, you'll never sleep hot again. They're made with a special cooling weave in the finest 100% organic cotton. These sheets feel crisp to the touch, breathable to sleep in, and offer cool comfort that lasts all night, even for the sweatiest of sleepers. Feel the difference cool comfort can make with Bowl and Branch's 30-night guarantee. I have my Bowl and Branch waffle blankets, the best blanket I've ever slept under. I got my Bowl and Branch sheets. They are, as promised, a cut above the rest. It's unbelievable. I'm telling you, you sleep on these sheets, you sleep with these blankets, you do feel a difference. It is not nonsense. It is not overblown. They are not overpromising. Bowl and Branch is coming through on their claims. I sleep on Bowl and Branch, and I can tell you, you won't regret it. Bowl and Branch products are made different so you can sleep better at night. Woven with the finest 100% organic cotton on earth, crafted by artisans who earn the pay and respect they deserve. Signature hemmed sheets with designs and colors for every bedroom style and mattress size. There's Percale hemmed sheet sets made with a cool and crisp weave. You'll never sleep hot again. There's the 30-night worry-free guarantee. You can dry Bowl and Branch sheets for an entire month. There's no catch to that. You can wash, style, feel the difference for yourself risk-free. If you don't get your best night's sleep, send them back for a full refund. Feel the difference an extraordinary night's sleep can make with Bowl and Branch. Get 15% off plus free shipping on your first set of sheets at bowlandbranch.com/beautiful. That's Bowl and Branch, BOLLANDBRANCH.com/beautiful. Save 15%. Exclusions apply. See site for details. Thanks again to all of our advertisers. Now let's finish off the phone call.
When was the Constitution written? What year?
Fuck.
Oh, I got you. Good.
The American ignorance here. Because everybody knows the revolution of 1776. I think it went to like 1783. Articles of Confederation were in there for a while. I'm going to say 1791.
You're so close, but no.
1793?
1787. 1787.
Yeah, no.
When was the Declaration of Independence adopted?
1776?
Yes.
Okay.
What does the president's cabinet do?
Advises him?
Yes.
I'm trying to keep my answers brief now because you fucking destroyed me when I was rambling about...
What is one thing that Benjamin Franklin is famous for?
Creating urban legends about the Jersey Devil?
Yes.
It's true.
No. This was interesting. I actually didn't know this. So he was a U.S. diplomat.
Oh, yeah. He was the diplomat to France.
I did not know that.
And there's all these stories that
Okay.
he like charmed them with his folksy wisdom and wore a raccoon skin cap to try to present himself as a bit more of a bumbling, lovable American local than he truly was.
How many justices are on the Supreme Court?
I think right now there's 9.
Yes.
But I only know that
How many
because
amendments?
we should be. There was such a push to expand it.
I know. How many amendments does the Constitution have?
God, 18?
No.
I'm way off, right?
Yeah.
Well, the Bill of Rights is the first 10. There are a bunch of 20, 23.
Okay, so the first 10 plus 27.
It's 27.
If you were on Jeopardy, the music would have stopped.
I legit had no idea on that one. I'm starting to get my ass beat. Okay, what else?
Okay. Okay, I already asked you that one. What are 2 rights in the Declaration of Independence?
Free speech, freedom of the press. One of my favorite ones is the one that says soldiers are not to live in your house, which feels very antiquated, but I don't know how much. I mean, we could be like, would anybody be shocked if like Trump turned around tomorrow and was like, I think soldiers got to live in your house again? Just
my goodness.
With all the topsy-turvy, irrational, unpredictable decisions.
Name all the states that border Canada.
God damn. Okay. Maine. Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Maine, Washington. We'll start in the corners.
Okay.
I think Idaho.
No. Oh, wait. Yes.
Montana, North Dakota.
Yes.
Michigan does, because you can drive over that bridge.
Yes.
Minnesota, because the boundary waters.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wisconsin?
No.
New Hampshire? Vermont?
Yes.
And New York does.
New York does. You're missing 2. I think 2. Yes, I think 2.
I don't think Massachusetts does.
One that starts with a P and one that starts with an M.
That starts with a P.
You might have said the M one.
I said Maine.
Yeah, not that one.
I said Minnesota, Montana.
Yeah, not those ones.
Michigan.
There's another M.
I said
yes, Michigan.
I said Michigan.
Oh, you did? Okay.
So you can drive from Detroit. What starts with
So you're missing one with a P.
There's a state that starts with a... Pennsylvania doesn't touch Canada, does it?
I don't know. It said so.
Pennsylvania borders Canada?
Well, let's go look it up because I wrote it down. It did, so.
I know nothing about America. Pennsylvania borders fucking Canada, but not with a land border.
Ask the high priestess.
It's because of the Great Lakes. Okay, so it's the Great Lakes. Lake Erie separates
so
Pennsylvania from Ontario. God damn, man, most Americans don't know shit. They're asking someone who lived in Thailand and then moved to the Deep South for 50 years to name every state that borders Canada, and we act like immigrants are doing so much wrong.
They ask you like 3 of them, yeah, or whatever. But I was kind of a little hard on you. I wanted you to know all of them.
But the point stands. 95% of the people who were born in this country could not fucking name every state that borders Canada. And we go, hey, if you want to stay here and not get kicked back to Thailand after 5 decades, you better know that Lake Erie touches Pennsylvania and then touches Ontario on the other side, and that counts. That's crazy. Okay.
Because it's important. No, you did good though. You did really good. The only questions left are really, really easy. So
okay.
I think you're good on that.
I think I probably did better than most.
You did better than every single other person I've ever asked.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I feel
And I'm
really
not
good.
just saying that because, you're Chris. That's sincerely
No, I
true.
brought the heat. I felt myself bringing the heat. When I hit John Jay that hard, I said, oh, I'm in the zone today. But I also have a brain that's built for trivia.
Me too. I love trivia.
Yeah. Love it. What kind of therapy do you do?
Yeah. I don't anymore because when I moved here, I don't do it, but it was transpersonal psychology. So looking at family system theories, like looking at I did this really intense program that was 3 years long, and you looked at the generations previous to you. And I didn't really have a great relationship with my father growing up. Have you ever seen My Big Fat Greek Wedding?
I have.
Okay, my dad was exactly that dad. Exactly.
But Croatian.
And yeah, but Croatian, that's the only difference. And I asked my dad once, I said, did you see the movie? And he goes, yeah. And I said, well, did you connect with any of the characters? And he looked at me and he goes, I don't have Windex. That's the only difference. So growing up in Canada, I was the only girl. And so, we just butted heads all the time. So I got kicked out of my house when I was 14 and lived with some friends. And one of my girlfriends, her mom was a single mom, took me in. It was amazing. Anyways, I didn't have a relationship with him. So when I went in this intensive course or classes, university, we learned family system theory, where we looked back 3 generations previous and looked to see what was falling on us. What was there alcoholism? Was there abandonment issues? What is actually on our shoulders based on generations that have passed previously? And looking at our parents' stories, what happened to them when they were kids, and what that did for me was it made him more human to me, and not like this dad that, he had to fit this role. It was more like, wow, he went through, he lived in Croatia and had German soldiers threatening to take away his family farm when he was, 6 years old, and, and this war-torn stuff, right? And I looked at him completely differently after that, and I started, and it doesn't excuse some of the behaviors that happened at all, but it allowed me to see him as a human, which I wasn't, I don't think, because I was still seeing him through the eyes of a child. And once I matured enough and started learning all of this, I recognized how much healing happens when you're able to actually look through the other side of that. And thankfully, after I did that course, I was able to have a relationship with him for, 10 years before he died. So I was able to talk to him on the phone. Now, not about everything, we weren't best friends, but we definitely had a beautiful relationship.
I love it. I mean, I think that's one of the most practical sounding forms of therapy I've ever heard of.
It is, but the problem with it is it works. So you have to always get new clients.
Right. I know for me,
I mean, that's not a problem, but
I think I've mentioned this on the show before, but I remember once telling my dad that I really felt like he and I took a turn where we were able to be buddies, and I felt like I could really talk to him.
Yes, you did.
And I was like, it was really when I was helping you move out of the house in Fairfield. And he was like, you were in your 30s. I was like, yeah. He's like, you didn't really feel like you could let your guard down around me until your 30s? And it clearly hurt his feelings. But I'm like, if I'm being honest, kind of, yeah, man. You're the best. But you had a lot of, I got old enough to understand what stress was. And I got old enough to understand what responsibility was. And I got old enough to understand
exactly
how much finances can put an omnipresent pressure on you, and how finances can make the starting point of your day be at a deficit.
Yeah, well, and
as a little kid, I didn't understand any of that.
And his unhealed traumas,
yeah.
or not speaking to him personally, but my father's unhealed traumas. His mother died when he was 6. He was grieving her. He never got over it, and he named me after her. So that energy definitely, and it all goes down the pipe.
My mother just this morning told me a story that when she was in Catholic school, my mom and dad both went to the same Catholic school in West Orange, New Jersey. She just told me this morning that once she went to school with a kid who was slightly mentally challenged, but back then they never addressed that or really spoke to it, let alone having services dedicated to it. And that she one time saw a nun who was a teacher who thought the kid was mocking her accent, which he wasn't. And my mom watched a nun throw a student with some disabilities over 2 desks, throw a child across a classroom. And I sit here, I go, yeah, my mom's the best. Don't get me wrong. And we may need to edit that out. Andrea will have to think about that because my mom might not love me sharing her stories, but she just told it to me a few hours ago. And I sit here, I go, oh, right. So like when my brother and I faced some bullying as a kid and you didn't know how to handle it as a parent, well, yeah, your perspective on childhood bullying was really skewed because the adults bullied you. The adults bullied kids back then. So I get it. That explains why so much bullying went unregulated in my community and my childhood, because our parents were physically beaten by nuns. So their perspective on bullying was not normal. Okay. But I learned that today. I'm turning 45 this month.
I love that. Oh, yeah. When's your birthday? It's like next week?
No, May 23rd. Same day as Parade Girl.
Okay, 2 weeks. Oh, yes. Same as Parade Girl. Parade Girl, well done. You did good.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, no. And
I liked my old kidney friend on that episode too. Not enough people talking about it.
It was perfect.
Everybody talking about Parade Girl, but we got to also shine a light on our kidney Dave Matthews Band friend.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That was the perfect person to call during that time. Last week, I tried to call when Sex God was on and I didn't get through, but it was worth it because Sex God was really funny.
That Sex God, very funny. One of the horniest episodes we've ever done, by far.
It was definitely.
We don't usually we don't go very far in the horny direction on Beautiful Anonymous. And that was one of the hornier ones we've ever done.
No, that was a good one. So I did that. And when I came here, I couldn't continue that because of the, different country kind of thing. And I also didn't really want to. I wanted to do something different. I was ready for something different. So I actually work in a neighborhood. Well, I can't say that. It's the Hawaiian Shirt grocery store. I'll say that. Okay. And I love it. It's great. It's great. The people are great. It's like a family, and I don't have any stress because I'm a big empath. So I'll worry about people all the time. And with that, I order the wine, so I don't have to worry about the wine. The wine gets drunk and people come in and buy more. And, if I'm not there, somebody else puts it up, or orders it for me or, whatever. So it's really great. And then we own our own business too.
And yeah, I was going to ask, I don't know if you want to say the nature of your business, but it's come up a couple of times.
Oh, sure. Yeah. We own a laundromat.
I was just the other day, I had my laundry pile up. We went on vacation. There was tons of it. I said, I'm not going to do like 4 loads. I'll just drop it off at the laundromat. Now, New York City, I used to use laundromats all the time because there was never laundry in my buildings. Yeah. But I looked at this laundromat and I said to myself, I've never thought, how much money must it cost to get a laundromat up and running just to buy this many washing machines?
So right now it's over $1 million, but we don't have that. We got in before that. But yeah, it's to start it up from scratch. It's very expensive. We bought an existing, we bought what they call semi-zombie mat, which basically the owner wasn't really taking care of the equipment properly. My husband, who is never really too passionate about too many things, like he's very even keel. I'm more we're a seesaw. We're an emotional seesaw. He keeps me straight and I keep him flying. You know what I mean? So he got really passionate about laundromats just before COVID and during COVID and started, researching and hiring a coach and doing all this stuff. And I saw so much excitement in his eyes. And how could I say no to that? I mean, it was what he was meant to do. So we own a laundromat in town. We're part of the community. We're also part of the immigrant community. There's a lot of, people that come here and use our laundromat that I've gotten to know really well. And he has, on Wednesday mornings, he has a crew of guys, because my husband's a morning person. So he'll go there at 5 a.m. and he has this crew of older gentlemen that come in and they do their laundry and they all sit and chat. And yeah, it's really nice to be part of the community. It's hard work. Like it's a lot of work. He just recently quit his job to do this full time. Before then, I was working my full time and then going there after, and I was completely burnt out. But and we have 4 employees, and it's great. Like, people can drop off their laundry and it'll be done, and we like to do it, the same way every time, so that everything's perfect and in a nice bag for you, and it smells great. And kind of like when you go to, well, I don't go to McDonald's anymore, but when I did go to McDonald's, you would get a burger and it was always the same, until I got a baby cockroach in my burger. Now I never go there again. But that's another story.
I've never been more angry at myself. I mean, we only have a minute left and we just started talking about you buying a laundromat. I've never been more upset.
Yeah, and we haven't even talked about the kidnapping yet either.
Well, that's Patreon. That's not Patreon. That's paywall exclusive.
Yeah, it is.
To think about investing $1 million in a business and then the money that comes back to you is largely in the form of coins is wild.
Oh, it is. Oh, yeah. We're fully coin operated. So we are rolling quarters all the time. And, but part of that too is a lot of the immigrant community. Like before I got my social, I couldn't have a bank account. So I just had cash. Right. So, that there's that aspect too. You don't have bank cards.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of quarters. If you ever need quarters, but you never do a show here anyways. I'll tell you after where I am so you can do a show here.
I would love to do a show and come hang out at your laundromat. I can't wait.
Oh, you could do a show in the laundromat.
Yes, I can. And guess what? Our time is up.
That.
Our time is up. Laundromat show. We got to do a laundromat show. Live taping at the laundromat. We have to. Oh my goodness. Andrea, you genius. Andrea just pointed out episode 500 is coming up soon. What if episode 500 is live from the laundromat?
I would love that. I'm not that far from, a little bit of a drive, but.
We'll talk. We're going to talk and figure this out. And for now, we're going to say goodbye to everybody on the free feed. And then we're going to hear about a kidnapping.
Bye, free feed.
We're going to do the 5 questions. There's so many reasons to sign up at beautifulanonymous.com. And thank you to everyone who's been listening for free with our caller who became an American today and charmed us with so many other directions this went in as well.
Thank you.
Caller, thank you so much. Any call where I get to take a citizenship test, hear about love for laundromats, and get to briefly talk about the long lineage of Canadian wrestling, that's a good day for me, and I thank you for giving me that. On top of all the other wonderful tangents and sidebars we had. Thank you to the High Priestess, Andrea Quinn. Thank you to Shellshag for our theme music. If you want to know more about me, punchup.live/Chris Gethard, laughingtogether.org. Check it out. We got Instagram, Beautiful Anonymous Pod. We're on TikTok. We got the Facebook group to discuss episodes. Join up today. And of course, don't forget to join up at beautifulanonymous.com for all sorts of extra stuff that's really high quality and good and worth your time and money. Thanks, everybody. This week on Beautiful Anonymous Plus, here's some of what you'll get from the 5 questions. I hear part of becoming a hockey fan is you got to go see it live and then you'll be addicted.
You have to see it live. You have to see it in a Canadian with a Canadian, in a Canadian arena, because it's different. It is, and no offense to I'm one too now. Damn it.
You can't say no offense to the Americans.
It's just
anymore.
different. I know I can't say that anymore. It's just different. It's like it's just it's like that whole game. Oh yeah, okay. That day when the Canadians beat the Americans that day on that little tournament that they had a month ago, and everyone was booing and all that. That was the day my interview got canceled. So I was like, hockey gods, you better come through for me today. I was so mad. And I drank a bottle of wine and watched us beat them. So good.
Don't forget to sign up for Beautiful Anonymous Plus at beautifulanonymous.com.
At Ritual, Mother's Day is kind of a big deal, and we're celebrating accordingly. Find your ritual. If mom needs a bit of stress relief, digestive support, or is looking to support glowy, smooth skin, do it today with 40% off your first month for a limited time at ritual.com/podcast. That's RITUAL.com/podcast for 40% off your first month. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.